Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Saturday webinar Resolve the Unsolved by Panesia eBiz Consulting Group. Today, we are on our 16th webinar, and we have been focusing on various aspects and various avenues which are very, very important in managing businesses by entrepreneurs. And capital has been and funding has been one of the most talked about or most crucial, or I would say the most felt need for running any of the businesses by entrepreneurs. We have been getting time and again queries from startups and running organization about raising capital, raising funds. Today, we chose to focus on raising capital for startups because we were getting a lot of queries around that new projects which were coming up, and we thought of focusing on it immediately. So welcome you to the topic of raising capital for your startups. And today with us, we have a prominent investment banker and a financial expert, Mr. Atul Thakkar. Atul at present is a director at Anand Rathi Financial Services Limited. And if I'm right, Atul, you must have spent more than 13 years with Anand Rathi at various levels with a rich experience of roughly 2 decades. Atul has been delving deep into financial aspects and has been focusing on financial modeling, investment banking, valuations of companies across sectors. So we thought it's right time where we take some inputs from Atul at this juncture. Atul, welcome you to the show.
Thank you very much, Sandeep. Thank you for your kind words. Ravindra ji, thank you very much for getting me on this.
And Atul, before we start off, I would once again introduce formally Mr. Ravindra Goel, though Mr. Goel is known to most of us over here. But I always like to have a fresh introduction of Mr. Goel every time. Mr. Goel, with his 25 years of experience, where he has been educating through his various initiatives, the masses across the country on skill training initiatives, and for the last couple of years also advising and mentoring various startups. Today, he is known as a tech entrepreneur where he is focusing on 3 tech initiatives right now simultaneously. And we are trying to jointly explore different initiatives in business areas, education areas, and also HR and recruitment areas. Welcome, Mr. Goel, once again to the platform.
Thank
And
you.
I request you to say a few words before we start up. Mr. Goel, please.
Thank you, Sandeep, and hello, entrepreneurs. I welcome you all on in our 16th webinar, and the topic for today is raising capital for your startup. We have Atul Thakkar as an expert on this, who will be detailing out the probably what you need and what you can do, how it can be done. Let me just share the probably a scenario which was there in our lifetime when we were young, way back in 90s when we were starting the career. We all used to get an advice from the parents that you spend a little lesser than what you have. So don't overburden your finances, don't take loans, and don't go for like open up your pockets in such a way where you don't have any safety margins left with you. We come from that time. I think Sandeep, me, and most of the people of our age come with that kind of input, where investment was to come from parents and or maybe a person who was good into a wealthy person, a wealthy relative who used to fund the requirement. And thus how we have seen that most of the people have gone for uh, joining rather than becoming entrepreneurs. They have opted to work with the large companies. The only reason was that in our time, the finances were not easily available, which probably nowadays, if we look at other way around, the colleges have incubation centers. They have a sports system where students, they form a group of students and they are probably led for a presentation to investors, and many of the cases are successful as well. The only thing what I've seen in this entire life cycle, that investment, a person or a group or a student or entrepreneur who looks for investment, they do not understand the concept actually. What I have realized that most of the time the entrepreneurs, rather than looking the investment actually for growing up or scaling up or maybe launching their idea, they look for ki, what can come to my pocket. Like in all the sheets, what I have seen, they put higher salaries in the balance sheet of the investment requirement, that I'll draw 2 lakh rupees per month or my partner will draw this much. So a lot of greed is of taking out money rather than investing for the growth is out. So probably Atul knows better because he has dealt with such kind of people in masses. We have dealt with the different line length, and probably we are opening up now. So I welcome you all once again, and thank you Atul for joining us. So I hand it over back to Sandeep so that when he can take it further. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goel. So, Atul, you have already an entrepreneur in Mr. Goel speaking. So, you has made things easier. Okay. Atul, now it's yours. Please take on.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this August audience to really come on Saturday afternoon. It will be definitely more interesting for me to learn from your experiences also, or your questions, whosoever wishes to ask at whatever stage. Um, you know, um, over the last 2 decades that I have been in the financial services, uh, what I have seen that in these last 2 decades, the scenario of the entrepreneurs, whether it is a startup or mid market or large, has completely changed. The way things people start viewing has completely changed, and which is what is more important for people to understand. The first is that way back, if you see in the early 2000s or even till 2005, 6, 7, the way people used to think is that if I want to start my business, I will put my own capital, or I will ensure that at least I scale up the business to a certain level. Partnership was to a large extent a taboo, that whether you will be able to gel with your partner or not, there are all those nuances which people used to think of. Um, whether that is right or wrong, it is case to case. But the point that I'm trying to make is that if you compare that and compare today, just 2 years ago, I was invited by IIT Bombay for their startup fest to evaluate ideas, and by a couple of other institutions also. I saw that some of the ideas are on paper, and when ideas are on paper, they are saying, when I get an investor, I will activate this idea. So look at this scenario. In early 2000s, you want to be an entrepreneur for the business, and you don't want to make a partnership because you don't know whether there is an alignment going to be there with your partner or not. And now you want to do the business for the funding. It is a complete reversal. And I can tell you one thing, that when you ask the people that, okay, if I give you, the required funds, how long are you going to stick around and do the business? What is your exit plan? the first answer will be that in the next 3 to 4 years, I want to scale it up and I want to exit this. Okay. And I will sell this to someone. Okay. Which means that, it's like even before you have learned to swim and you are possibly standing, outside the swimming pool, you have made up your mind that A, I will be a pro swimmer, B, I will get the Olympics gold, and C, I will get the award also of it. And I have determined my timeline also. Okay, which is where the disappointment starts. Okay, and if you look at it, that typically you will not hear this from a banker because a banker is more keen in doing a deal. I would say that some of the best businesses are the businesses who have not taken external funding, especially equity funding. And there is a reason, because if I have so much conviction in my business that this business is going to go rock solid year on year for the next, decade or multiple decades, why do I need to take equity funding from anybody? Why do I need to partner with anybody in my cake? Okay, I will give you a simple example of this. And, one of the most renowned and quality organization in the space of sound, electronic sound, is Bose. If you look at it, their family ethos is that the company should remain private, irrespective of whatever it is. They are sizable enough. They take, a bet with anybody and everybody globally, have a very well known brand. They are ahead of the curve on innovation. They are ahead of the curve on terms of all the other probably HR parameters, and I'm using the parameters which are typically, expense line items, not on the revenue line items. The reason behind it is, understand that people say that, if you are a private company, if you don't have your own funds, and if you are, if you are using third party funds, then only you can scale and become professional. It is the other way around. And they have remained consistent in their quality. Okay. So that is one way of looking at it. That really, do you need the capital or not? Give you another example of a company which just got listed probably, few days or a month ago, is about Airbnb. If you look at their story, okay, Airbnb, they actually, for their survival during the 2008 elections in US, they were selling some of the FMCG products, okay, and branding it in the name of some of the candidates in US, and generating funds when there were people who were not ready to fund them and fund their idea. What does it mean is that they have a clear conviction in their business. One thing is agreed that, okay, they needed the money, but what is most important is how much conviction do they have in their business. They may not have the money, but does it mean that they push their idea till the time they get a professional investment banker, till the time they get professionally funded equity, which is just going to sit into AC boardrooms and ask them questions and not going to get their hands dirty out on the ground? Are they going to wait till that time? No. When you have a conviction in your idea, you have to go all through and you have to go with your plans. So when your business idea or business is your baby, that is when you start thinking from that angle. If your business is not your baby, but the cash is your baby, then as rightly said by Goel sir, you will say, okay, how much of this will I get? In terms of salary, in terms of dividend, in terms of secondary stake, all those things. Okay. And I'll tell you, in the long run, only those businesses survive which are looked at it from the promoters or the founders from an angle to run the business and not to sell the business. Products and services are sold, businesses are supposed to be run, and they should outlive probably the entrepreneurs. But if an entrepreneur believes that they want to not run the business, they want to probably flip the businesses, then there is some issue, which means that his conviction is there only to a certain level. Okay, so once you keep that in your mind, then let's come to the point of how to decide whether your business needs genuinely needs money or not. Okay, valuation of your business, remember, should be the last point, because at any given point in time, if you go on that valuation figure, you will miss the entire journey. Okay, so what is most important is to transparently evaluate and understand whether your business needs funding or not first, and if it needs funding, what sort of funding is required. uh, the business that needs funding uh, is as an plan A. You have to take your business as your baby, and you have to look at it from your angle that, let's say, if you either buy a residential property for your family, or you are looking at investment in your child who is possibly in standard 1 right now, will you go out and invest in your child and put your kid into a school where your other parameters don't meet, and just take a loan from third party? Okay, you typically don't do that. Then why do you want to do it for your business? Because when you make your business plan, I have seen so many business plans where somebody comes and says that, look, right now we are operating in a garage, and there is no AC over here, and 5 of us are there, and we are sitting in a cramped position. So I'm looking to raise 5 crore rupees. Out of that, 50 lakh is going to go into taking a place on hire and do up that place so that we can get appropriate staff. 100% crap. That is a waste. That can be cut down. Do you do that for your child? Your child, if you are sending him into a municipal school or into a affordable private school, why don't you think from your child's growth perspective, from an investment perspective, and put your kid into a school which has a swimming pool? You simply say, no, I don't have the wherewithal. So then why do you want it to do it for your business? Only because that is external funding. Till date, while you were happy with the garage system, now that if somebody is coming across the table and you say that, look, I want X amount, for moving, it actually raises suspicion as to what is the guy looking at. Is he looking to invest the money in the business or something else? Okay. There are so many promoters who are uncomfortable in taking the risk of putting their personal assets, okay, and going and taking banking channels. That again is sometimes perceived as a part negative from the equity investors, because the understand the equity investor is going to come for 3 to 5 years, 7 years max. Okay, he may be open to investing, but the first thing that the equity investor, especially at a startup stage, evaluates is what is the level of risk that you have already taken to reach whatever level you have reached. If you have just put up everything on the drawing board, that means you have not taken any risk. Okay, and then asking funding is not going to work. But if you have, let me put it this way, invested enough time, energy, put in your resources, taken it to a level where you are generating interest from your clients, customers, put in effort to understand your client, your suppliers, whatsoever, and you have, it's okay to burn. You have burned some money, okay, but you have burned your own money, uh, or you have earned money and you have kept on redeploying it. That is something which is more valuable enough. Okay, so at the startup stage, these things matter a lot. The business concept matters a lot than your financial statements. Okay, because you don't have any financial statements. Okay, the business due diligence is done significantly, and they want to understand whether you have done your business due diligence or not. And probably some of the line items that they will ask you are going to be so micro in nature that sometimes you might just shrug off and say, this investor, is just trying to poke me. Actually, the investor is not poking you. He's trying to understand whether you know your business in and out or not, whether you know your competitors or not. And that is going to get you your, first check from an investor, and is going to continue to get you your check. There are some players who come to us. In fact, today morning I had a call with a startup. Like, we have a revenue of 5 crores, and we have a burn rate of 1 crore. So 20% is our EBITDA loss. But we are growing on a month on month by 100%, and that is why this burn is there. Understandable. I asked them a question as to, how much you want to raise, and they said, we are looking to raise only 5 crores, and that is all going to go into the business. All is going to be for growth. Again, valid points. The next question I asked them is that the current burn that happened of 1 crore, how much it is self-funded and how much it is funded by your existing investors. And you won't believe, they said that it is completely funded by our investors. And when I asked them, what is your capital into this business? They said, our capital into this business is 5 lakhs. And when I look at the profile of the founders, they have the wherewithal. In fact, they have their house in an upmarket location in NCR. Now, you may get the money because of your profile, but the investor who is actually putting money in your business has lost the money. I can tell you that for sure. Because if your business is so good, why are you waiting for an investor to come? Why is it that you have invested only 5 lakhs in your business? Okay, when you have probably a residence which is, valued at more than 20 crores. Let me put it that way. Okay, I understand there are liquidity issues. I understand you are a son of a rich, what we call as businessman, and you want to grow up on your own feet. There are other ways and means of doing it. This is where the disconnect is, which showcases that whether, have you made your hands dirty or not enough to really get. This point also raises a question on that 5 crore revenue. Probably that 5 crore revenue has been got, through few personal call made by some of the friends and family members. So whether it is sustainable or not is a big question. So the business, whether it's going to be sustainable or not, is question. Now, on the flip side, look at someone who is not having the wherewithal, is preparing a tech code in the night in a garage and in the daytime doing a job, okay, to fund that as well as to fund his own family, okay, and has an idea which has got probably 25 lakhs revenue, okay. I can tell you one thing: he will possibly get a better check, first check, than the other guy. The other guy may get a sizable check because of his network, but it will stop over there. But this guy will get a smaller check, but will continue to get checks. And that is what you have to understand as to how are you perceiving your business idea. Is it one of your kids in the line where you already have 5 kids and this is the sixth kid, so iska kuch kiya nahi kiya, it's okay? Or is this your only child, okay, and this is what you breathe day in and out, is very important. When you, and I'll tell you, this is what is measured maximum by the investors. And when you start analyzing this part, you will be able to split between the serious guys and the guys who have a wow idea, but that will falter. Once that evaluation is done, and we lay a lot of emphasis on this, and there is no procedure or a step format in this. This is more like a due diligence of a individual, okay. And once that hurdle gets cleared, okay, your business idea may be good, uh, may not be fully developed, may ultimately become a failure, no problem. But the first check that you will get will come only and only based on how the investor is perceiving you as a person, okay. Rest will follow based on the business idea, business, the way you do things, all those pointers, okay. Equity investment is all about a lot more commitment than debt investment, and equity is a lot more expensive than debt, okay. um, I have invested in a couple of startups. I have helped them grow, and every time those startups come to me and say, "Okay, we are looking for a next round now of funding," I resist. I actually, through my veto, don't allow them to take equity money, because the equity money has got a lot of value attached to it. It is very simple. The promoter and the founder finds it very easy, that okay, my this round valuation has been at 10 crores. The next round valuation will be at 50 crores. That notional value increase gives a lot of high to the founder and allows the founder to, probably uh, go on a wrong track, um, and which is where probably it is very important for the founder to understand that it is the underlying business which is what you should be valuing and keen about, rather than the valuation of the paper that you are holding. And we have done quite a bit of IPOs, and post IPO, when a stock, you know, it's a six on a regular basis, and let's say the stock has become a doubler in a year. Uh, I have seen so many promoters who are good quality promoters. Um, they give wrong commitments to the investor just so that the stock ride continues, and then they are not in sync with their business, and it's just a matter of time that they see the doomsday scenario for themselves, okay. So that clarity is very important. um, if we have to look at other parameters, on what are the options. As I said, there are some types of debt as an option. Nowadays, there are few funds which are called as venture debt funds or seed funds, which give only debt or a pseudo debt type of paper, where let's say a fund offers you 5 crore rupees. Out of that 5 crore, 4 crore you have to return back, principal plus some bit of interest, coupon, etc. And 1 crore is in terms of equity, which is linked at some valuation, etc. I would prefer, if I'm an entrepreneur, to take something of that sort. But most um, promoters or founders, they resist to such thing because they say, okay, how will we pay the 4 crores in that time? When you can ask for 5 crores, okay, at your business plan, why can't you repay the same in your with your business plan? That also showcases to me, what is the level and quality of that real promoter or founder. In fact, the founder should be more willing to take that as a combination because that saves their equity. Okay. So these are sometimes, remember, if you are going to raise money out in the market, these are sometimes parameters which are evaluated directly or indirectly, and they are traps, okay, which are available, which are used by the investors to try and also evaluate and understand, okay, how much are you convinced, and how much are you really knowledgeable about your business. Okay. Anybody has a question can keep asking me questions either on the chat, or
There
can
are a couple of queries.
or can just unmute and ask me the question.
Atul, there are some queries. I will read it out for you.
Yeah.
One is from Ratin.
Huh.
He says that he has been running an AMC service business,
Huh.
that is maintenance of hardware, computers, etc.,
Right.
and central government offices, and
Right.
has not taken any loan and has
Right.
grown as an MSME, but now feels needs some fund and has all the government credentials and requisite papers. How should one go for this?
So, Ratin sir, first of all, let me tell you that what happens is that um, typically investors don't like government funded business, or where you are a supplier to the government. If private investors have to be looked at it, and I will tell you um, the reason behind that. The reason behind that is that the corridors of Indian government are not squeaky clean. It may be for you, but the general perception is that they are not squeaky clean. Okay. And second, that they don't know whether the receivables will come back in the right time frame or not. Okay. And hence, equity participation becomes difficult. However, some businesses which are contracts awarded by the government have started to see investors coming in if they are in the falling in the category of um, let me put it this way, as need for the upliftment of the you know uh, people who are underprivileged. It has got nothing to do with any caste, creed, segment, religion. Please don't get it wrong. But for example, it is about education, government funded schools. Okay, government gives you a contract to go and provide education to, let's say, 1,000 schools. Okay, these businesses have started to see some funding from impact investor. Okay, so and then they are not averse to these government contracts. So you have to probably find out whether your business falls into that bucket or not. If it doesn't, then probably the way you should do is you should seek debt, okay, from public sector banks, because if you have government contracts, public sector banks are most amiable to give you debt based on those contracts itself, or take those receivables and give you working capital line of credits, okay, and those working capital line of credit can keep increasing over the years. So if it is possible, then you should do, and I'm sure you would have done, you should evaluate those areas, and try and grow your business. Over and above that, let me give you a word of caution that some of these services and goods, in order to have transparency within the government corridors, government of India is also setting up portals where you need to register, you need to be a vendor registered over there, and then contract on a faceless mechanism to transparently provide those. Now, if you are on that side of the table and you consistently provide it, then possibly, and you are big enough, sizable enough, then possibly you may get some investor.
Rathin, what you can do is you can write to us. We will take it up in details.
Yeah.
I'm moving on to the next question, Atul. It is
Sure.
from Mr. Avinash. A
Right.
very interesting note which he has shared for everybody.
Right.
Assumption is startup is bootstrapped and now they want to raise funds by diluting equity.
Okay.
His view on investor from outside Indian subcontinent, a non-Indian, and an Indian investor from anywhere in the world, he says he has noticed that outside investor will always demand for more equity for less money, whereas other investors will value the idea and encourage the founder to run the business and make it big. So he says probably that is the reason where Indian startup guys just want to make quick money and restart something more worthwhile. So what's your take on it?
See, I'll tell you one thing that 80% of the subcontinent investors, whether they are in subcontinent or outside, okay, would want you know want to give 20 cents for a dollar.
Right.
So that is the nature, but that is how we all have been grown up, right? So that's fine. You have to find that 20%. Okay. As far as the guys who are sitting in the West are concerned, okay, the way they perceive and the way they look at investment is in a different scenario. But the you have to also see that the pointers that somebody sitting in the West will have as high threshold item, and the pointer which an subcontinent investor will have as a high threshold item is completely different. I'll give you an example that 2 years ago we were doing a deal for an M&A with someone from the West, and their high threshold or deal breaker item was something called as environment and safety. Okay, and the client over here in India, the company, their environment and safety pointers were moderate. They were not up to the mark, and those guys in US, they broke the deal while they were ready to give probably 30% higher valuation than what a domestic guy was. But then I'll give you a simple example as a part of that only, is that while they looked at the final fire NOC. Okay, but remember that before you get the final fire NOC, you get a provisional NOC. There were the provisional NOC, fire NOC is what the company was not willing to showcase. There is a reason, because in the provisional NOC, typically 10 line items are given. These are 10 line items and said that you rectify these 10 things and then you will get a final NOC. Now, whether you have rectified or not, person will come to know only by going on the ground and checking and seeing the provisional NOC. The very fact that you are not ready to provide your provisional fire NOC, which means that you have gone and done something hand in glove with the fire department.
Precisely.
This is where the threshold item was, not the financials. So are you ready to really have a complete change in your mindset as to how you treat your employees? Probably. Okay. It's very important.
Very important. Very important. And in fact, we will discuss further on this.
Yeah.
Mr. Avinash, thanks for your comments, because it will need a lot of debate. I'm coming on to the next query raised by Sanjeev. Sanjeev says, can you please talk on instrument which is combination of debt and little on equity?
Right. So see, it flows this way that you either first of all you have to understand what is the type of the investor. Is the investor open to debt? Is he open to equity? Is he open to combination of both? Because if it is a family office, domestic and has own money, it's a different thing. But sometimes if the investors are registered with SEBI, okay, then they have to issue instrument. They have to procure instruments and pay money only in that particular category. And that also goes by the bylaws of that particular fund. So if it's a pure debt, they will remain pure debt. If it's a pure equity, they will remain pure equity. If it's a combination where they are allowed to do, then only this is possible. Otherwise, all you need to do is get a debt guy, put in debt money, get an equity guy, put in equity. Okay. So while the legwork is double, but it is worth the pay. Now coming to an instrument, which is a combination of debt and equity, there are many of them. Something like an OCD, optionally convertible debentures. What does it mean? That ideally it is debentures. Debentures are debt, okay, but it is optionally convertible into equity, and then you can decide what parameters and at what stage, and how much percentage. I'll give you another, idea is that you can take the money from the same investor. You can say, you issue me NCDs, which is non-convertible debentures, so it will remain debt, and you issue me, some part in terms, I'll issue you some bit in equity. So there also you can do a combination. Then there is something called as you issue debt and then you issue warrants. So you issue NCD so that the investor gets a fixed return on that, and then you issue warrants at a particular price where the investor can invest at a particular stage. Okay, so there are multiple combinations. This is more important is from the structure angle, and which is where you need to first decide as to what is the combination of debt and what is the combination of equity that you want to take, and then everything else flows.
Great, thanks. In fact, Atul, you focused on many very, very critical points. I myself have been always facing these queries from new startups and people who are operating. Always a debate between debt and equity. And the more you try to work around, the focus is around equity. It's good you clarified, because everybody need not shell out equity so easily.
Right.
It's very, very important. It's very important. I think before we go to the next one, I think Mr. Goel wants to raise a query. Mr.
Sure.
Goel?
The part is that most of the time when I like my son who is with me, uh, I've met a lot of his friends and they're into tech, they're into different streams. You see, the mind of the students at this age is quite divergent because they are been seeing a lot of movies, social media, and their interaction with their own college teams are quite different. Now, part of that they are not touching the real life scenarios, and they do not understand what they are thinking is right or wrong. So, probably I'm just my question to Atul is that how should we make them aware that both become more realistic rather than remaining in flimsy thoughts?
So I'll
Atul, if you have understood, Mr. Goel's son himself is initiating a couple of new initiatives in technology. And that is from where Mr. Goel is coming in.
Right.
And as you rightly pointed, the aspirations are sky high.
Yeah,
And everywhere there's a talk about equity, equity, equity. Okay? Right, Mr. Goel?
yeah, in a way,
So I'll tell you what happens is typically when an idea comes, into a founder's mind, the first thing that the founder says is that I need to be, the first to launch this. The next point that the founder typically thinks is that, I have to be ahead of the curve, ahead of the market, and I have to capture the entire market. Okay, these are the 3 points that typically the founder thinks, which is where the founder believes that, oh, that is the reason I need actually 100 crore rupees. My point to every founder is that if you are going to launch today, and if your idea is really genuinely good, think that there is going to be competition. Money is not going to be a stumbling block for a competitor to come into your business and start doing it. Because while you don't have the money, but there will be somebody who is, a Tata, Birla, or Ambani of your business who will say, boss, okay, I will build it up overnight. So create enough hooks which are non-monetary and which will help you sustain. Now, as soon as you go to that level and you start thinking on that level, your requirement for equity funding drops by half. Your requirement to go and capture the entire market overnight really stops, because you then start understanding and believing that, okay, this is not a business for 3 years or 5 years, this is a long drawn business and there will be competition. Okay, while I will be one of the first movers, okay, if competition comes, what will be the differentiator that I will have? What will be the unique things that I will have? Giving my customers just discount or luring them with cash may or may not work. Take the simple example of what is happening in the e-commerce market with when Snapdeal and Flipkart were fighting. Amazon was quiet on the sidelines. Snapdeal and Flipkart kept fighting. You had ShopClues, you had others. Everybody scaled down, right? Because as soon as the music stops, the party ends. Okay, uh, so don't do that. Now today, Amazon is there, and Amazon, just to fight with Reliance, with Geo, or for that matter, Tata, to fight with Geo and Amazon, is not offering berserk discounts. Yes, they are, but they are not going overboard and offering berserk discounts, right? So, you have to understand what is going to be your trajectory. You have to actually envisage your business 5 years ahead and then work backward. And one of the most important thing has to be that somebody very big will come into the market who will not have the problem of funding, okay, and is going to try and capture my market. I will give you a counter example, which is of offline. Let's say, tutorial classes. Okay, tutorial classes are very cash heavy business and they generate a lot of cash. Okay, so people say, if I am successful in one class, let me open up 5 more classes. And given students are coming for my brand name, they will continue to come. Okay, and I will be able to capture the market of X also and Y also, etc. And suddenly in 5 years, you see it plateaus out. Okay, and then you see competition, and then you see them falling down. There is actually no entry barrier in it. Anybody and everybody who teaches a concept nicely at a decent pricing can open up a tutorial class. But there is an entry barrier to a school. It is not about money. It is about an entry barrier. For profit entity, there is a lot of other things, a lot of licenses, a lot of nuances, all those things. So you have to find what is the entry barrier to your business.
Right. Absolutely. I think that answers the question. There was another query very similar from one of our participants, Chila Kala. I think the same one, still I will read it out, says that has a new idea about augmented and virtual reality with cloud computing support over the web browser. I do have the MVP. I have just graduated from university. Suggest me how should I raise capital, sir? I think Atul, you already answered it.
Yes. My sum and substance to him would be that, first put in, sizable chunk from your pocket and think how you will put in from that. Okay. You have just graduated from university, as you said. So, go out, do a job, or sell some goods, services, whatever it is, and simultaneously do this. Okay. Invest your personal hard-earned sweat and blood money, not your father's money, and then go and raise money.
Right. So what has been proposed is you have to try it out, run your business yourself, show to the world that you are capable of running it. Put in your sweat money, put in your effort, energies into it. Right, Atul?
Yeah.
And also, when you are designing or planning your business, while you're dreaming about it, also look about various entry barriers, aspects, because an investor is looking for lot many things and would like to intricately evaluate all angles of your operations before they put in their hard-earned sourced or earned money. Right? This is very, very critical. And in fact, Atul, actually, it was great that you touched upon all very, very sensitive areas which we have seen entrepreneurs actually raise and discuss through. And sometimes they sit across the table and say, ki, hey, Mr. X has got so many millions USD. Okay? मेरी idea भी बहुत अच्छी है. I've got a great idea. I'm already doing this much of business. Why shouldn't I go for 20 times valuation, 30 times valuation? My valuation is this. I need money. So initially we have seen that they get very upset when you tell them, you don't need money, boss. You have to do
Correct.
something.
Correct.
They come back to the reality, which is there.
I think I'll add a point here.
Yes.
We have been seeing a lot of like government announcements, Startup India, and a lot of other initiatives. What I feel that government, like when I way back visited China and some other countries, the startup ecosystem has to be bit changed at the government level. Like what like this gentleman Chilakala asked for, why
Yes.
money is to develop the prototype. Now, like in the electronic side or in MSME side, we have a lot of prototype development centers. The same thing, I think, instead of Startup India in program where a person is being queued up in a line for various rounds of interviews and discussions and still finding no money, I think the government of India should come forward with like startup centers where the infrastructure is provided without any burden to the entrepreneur or the brilliant mind, and he's been giving hand holding along with it, with like mentors coming from some IITs, IIMs, or maybe from the industry, where the guy can be actually incubated. The word of meaning, actual meaning of incubated, actually can happen only when the infrastructure is been provided, rather than making them money oriented and that you look for money and do it your own. Even let's say if you give some good idea and money, the student does not have the business or entrepreneurship capacities at that point of time.
Right.
So it's more kind of like nurturing the candidates. It's more like that you plant a seed and then water it for another 6 months, or
Yes.
like a fruit tree for another 5, 10 years. So I think that the change has to happen at like big investors or big VC firms, or maybe at government level, where there is a incubation center, rather than asking them to ask for funding and then probably keep fighting with it for a longer time. Yeah, that's it.
No, Ravindraji, I actually, resonate and agree with you. But the problem that what happens is that when we look at it from the government angle, okay, um, everybody, pushes paper from one desk to another, saying that सरकार को ये दे देना चाहिए, उसको ये दे देना चाहिए. Baba, let's step back and think. If I have a conviction in my idea, if I have a thought process that my idea and my business is going to survive and is going to make big, सरकार कुछ करे ना करे, can I do it myself or not?
Yes, I to an extent, you see the like the brilliant of the brilliant minds have gone offshore, and they probably are not India now. Many of the tech companies are being headed by Indians. In the like 30 years back, this was a scenario. 20 years back, this was the scenario. I'm saying because the current era is of a different mindset.
Yeah.
People with some that kind of a passion where they want to start something their own, if rather than putting them into administrative or like probably what you call paperwork, and where they are probably just, you see, actually we only make them to come out with the flimsy figures of their Excel sheets, because if you show them 10 lakh rupees profit in next 5 years, they will not get money. So some
Correct.
tell them to make it 5 crore.
Right. Right.
Using
Right.
some flimsy, and by the time he ends up with the 2, 3 rounds of presentations, actually the idea goes back on the becomes a backbencher, and the funding becomes the core issue. But
So
that
that is true.
takes down the entire space.
Correct.
My
Correct.
point is that like we must invite such kind of individuals. I'm saying individuals who have the idea but not the money or the resources. They should be invited at a place where they can just experiment with it, and they can just be taken care by the team of mentors and experts.
Right.
Agree. Agree.
It's a possibility. So at one angle, I can hear very clearly an entrepreneur putting his views, Mr. Goel, with your experience. And at the other angle, I have an investment banker also sharing his thoughts. Great. It was enriching. In the meanwhile, what we can do is, since we are also exploring certain opportunities, I would suggest to our participant Chirakala, you can feel free to share your initial thought process with us. Maybe there can be an opportunity where we can facilitate, as Mr. Goel has been putting, and to take it to the next level. So if you have an idea, do feel free to share it with us. We can see how we can facilitate and help you go to the next level. And obviously there are seasoned experts around who can guide and take it across. And obviously, but you have to put in your hard effort and hard work into it. That is there.
In fact, what I said, collaborate with our discussions, Sandeep and me were talking that rather than giving money to the entrepreneurs, probably we would like to bring them at a place.
Yeah.
Probably they have been mentored and they have been taken care. as a part of the team rather than setting them off as an individual with just some money.
Sure.
Working on that startup incubation center, what we are thinking of, probably we are working on this idea, and let's see when it comes and take the real shape.
In some time it will be done. I think we are through. And are there any queries?
No.
No. Great. It was great having you all in today's webinar. A special thank to Atul, who joined us from Mumbai, spent his valuable time with us, shared his thoughts. Atul, thank you so much once again.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure to come and interact with all you fine people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Goel. See you next week, same time again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandeep.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.